everybody.
Hi, y'all.
We've got 2 years under our belt. It's basically our anniversary again.
It's our second anniversary. So we're now,
not newbies anymore.
I would say we're officially not newbies. So going into our third year.
Yep. I think it's great. Kind of go over a little bit about our year, what we liked, what we didn't like, where we went, where we plan on going next year.
Just an itty bitty bitty bought a couple on the road, driving it Harvey, pulling a toad. No place special to roam, not looking for a home. Won't you come along with us? We are RPlaceTravels.
So 1 year ago, this time, on our first anniversary, we were in the Black Hills.
In South Dakota. We went to Deadwood. Our granddaughter came out at that time. It was very interesting. I was glad we did it. It started our little trip for all our little Western stuff that we went to stop and see this year.
And then from there, we started heading southwest. So we worked our way through Wyoming. And then we went through Salt Lake City. But then we ended up in Bryce Canyon. Probably one of our favorites, Bryce Canyon in Utah. We visited that. We were basically on the top of the mountains looking down over the cliffs.
Yeah, they were beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we went to Zion National Park.
My favorite.
And they were like at the bottom of the mountains looking up at them.
I think it was just gorgeous. I had all the red rocks still, and off we went in. We did the Narrows while we were there. That was one of my favorite things that we did.
I think we were there for...
We were there 10 days in Zion.
10 days in Zion, 10 days in Bryce. And then we went from there, we stopped off at St. George, Utah, because it's a town I wanted to look at. And then we stayed a couple days there. And then we went from there to Lake Mead. We camped at Lake Mead, Nevada.
We did.
Colville Bay.
We stayed a month there.
And then we worked our way from there to the south end of Lake Mead.
Yeah.
We camped right outside of Bullhead City,
Arizona. Yeah. It's amazing how big it is. It goes through one side of a state to the other side of a different state all the way at the end. So it's a gigantic place, but it's beautiful. Yeah. I think every place we've ever gone has been beautiful in its own way.
Distinctive way.
Exactly.
Every place has attractions. I will say that definitely, as far as the national parks, Zion, Bryce, definitely a gotta see before.
Must see, yes.
Yeah, put that one on your bucket list.
Yeah.
And we stayed in Bullhead City, and we liked Bullhead City. It's a nice little town. And then from there, we worked our way down to Quartzsite.
This year, we were told that it's the coldest winter that they've had. And we froze to death while we were there. We're just going to have to go again when it's a warm winter, because I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't thrilled at all.
Our first day, actually, we stayed at Quartzsite. We kind of use it as a base for going in different directions. So we stayed there 3 different times. Our first time, we tried the long-term.
Yeah, we did the 2 weeks. We did use the trash, and we did not use the water there. We actually went outside of the park, and they have ones where you can get water and dump and get propane all at the same time. That's what we did.
It's a big attraction for RVers to go there for the winter, so we had to go there and see what it was like.
Yeah.
And my opinion of Quartzsite is, if you go there with a group of people, or you meet somebody there or something like that, definitely a good place to go camping.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's nothing really there. They have their tent show and stuff, but then there are just so many people that it's hard to do anything.
Especially to BLM land, you're usually going to be by yourself, and then unless you're going with a group. It was like real packed. I mean, even you weren't really close in that, but you could not look out your RV without seeing everybody. So it's definitely not a place to go to be out by yourself. But but it did look like a lot of people were in groups and stuff, and I can imagine it's just a great time when you're in a group in that.
Sure. So after we left Quartzsite the first time, we went to Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we do know some people there, so we had a great time with the people that we know, good friends of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed us, basically, we had our own tour guide. They showed us around Tucson.
It was so fun.
Got to see a lot of good stuff in Tucson.
And we stayed at a first really real resort in that because they had pools, we had ballroom dancing and bingo, and just you name it, they had it there. It was just so much fun. We really had a good time while we were there for the month.
And then we went from there on to Tombstone, one of my favorite places. I enjoyed Tombstone a lot of history there.
You really have to look though, because it's so, they've got, it's just such a moneymaker. Tourist trap. Yeah. So if you're really there to look a lot about the western town, the way it was and everything, and that it is all still there, but you really just have to look. I think Deadwoods was the same way.
Yeah.
You just got to kind of look in between everything and find the little signs and what happened, and that, especially if you know the history behind it, and that it's a little bit easier to find it.
So from Tombstone, we worked our way back up to Quartzsite again. It was our second time staying there.
Mm-hmm.
We were basically cutting through. We went to San Diego. We had a wedding to go to in San Diego.
Uh-huh.
So we spent a week in San Diego.
Which I never thought we would go to California. I mean, it
was not on our bucket list.
Right, it wasn't on our bucket list, but I'm so glad that we did. Especially even driving in San Diego. It is like, you got 6 lanes of really thin lanes that you're taking the RV in. It was a whole trip in itself, just trying to get to the RV park. We really had a good time while we were there, and it just kind of made us go, well, since we're here in California, we were so close, we figured we might as well do the national parks going up into California. Oh, and I did drive in California, coming into California. I drove the RV.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because usually I do most of the driving in the RV, so so she did some driving of the RV while we were there. And then we went from San Diego, we went down to Yuma.
Oh,
Saw the penitentiary down there.
Mm-hmm.
And we also crossed the border to Algodones, Mexico. So we went down there, and for bragging rights, we went across the border into Mexico.
Uh-huh. We did that. I did buy a bag while we were there. It says Mexico on it.
Welcome to Mexico, eh?
Thank you.
Thank you.
No. Yeah, hope you tourist pharmacy.
We got it.
The best pharmacy tourist.
Thank you.
Thank you. The town is known for its doctors, like its dentists, eye doctors, and the pharmacies that are there. So we really didn't need anything done, eye doctors or anything like that done. So we stopped at the pharmacy. We picked up some antibiotics. You can pick the antibiotics up, and you can come across the border with them without a prescription. Everything that we picked up that we could bring over the border legally. Trying to do everything legally. But it was an interesting thing because it was not, nothing is ever like what we thought. So we thought we were going into Mexico. It actually was pretty easy. Didn't have any issues. Went over there, did our stuff, came back. Everything went so well. It was nice. Nice having things go well.
Mm-hmm. So we went from there. Our third stay, we stopped off at Quartzsite. And then we worked our way up to Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
Yeah, I liked Lake Havasu.
It's a nice town. It's a nice town. It's probably a pricey town for if you're buying houses and land and things like that. But as far as amenities and everything else, it's a nice little town.
Mm-hmm. And we stayed out in BLM land. We've done a lot of BLM. Boondocking. Yeah, I think I'm getting to like it. So.
So we went on from there. We went to Joshua Tree National Park, on the south side of California.
Which we stayed on BLM land again.
BLM land.
And I love Joshua Tree. It's a long ride to go to everything. Not as long as some of the other ones, but it was a long ride, and the trees are just beautiful. They are different than any other tree that I've ever seen. I loved the rocks. They had gigantic rocks. They had them with a gigantic boulder in the middle, and then rocks that were like on the side, and so you could actually camp in between these big, gigantic boulders. I think we were too big. We're 31 feet, and I think the longest in most of them were like 26.
Yeah, I think there was 2 campsites that actually took large RVs, but most
Right.
of them were all
But
tent sites
Yeah.
and small vehicles. But it's kind of neat. They actually park and camp right in between all the rocks.
And they're not rocks, they're boulders. There's
Boulders,
just
yeah.
gigantic
That was
rocks.
kind of neat about the park.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of ranger talks and things like that that you can go to,
Yeah.
which are very interesting. And then we worked our way from there. We went up to Death Valley. Death Valley, we boondocked outside the park on a BLM land, and we were virtually all by ourselves. You could, if you looked really hard, you could see your neighbor. So
And I think we had one neighbor. He came by. That's the only reason that we knew that he was there. And that was because he drove by. I was like, oh, there must be a neighbor around here somewhere. But it was the same guy, so it was interesting, and I loved it. I think that that's what's changed my mind about BLM land. It was like, it was great. We were all by ourselves. We could do what we wanted. It was, we were not like, we were doing a lot, but we were traveling more than anything else there. But the BLM land there it was just perfect for us to stay there. And it was in the winter time. A couple of times it got up to like 90 degrees. It was pretty hot but most of the time it was perfect weather. And the other thing that I loved there is that Death Valley is the only place where the military jet planes, they came down and they buzzed us a few times, and it was great.
That was
I
pretty
loved
neat,
it.
yeah. But there's a lot to do in Death Valley. We didn't even get to see everything there was to do. I think we were there a week.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So we didn't even get to see everything. So there is a lot to do in Death Valley, and there's no Wi-Fi, so you basically, there's no point to stay at home and get any work done or anything. You might as well go out and see some stuff, exploring.
Can't do anything.
We did.
Yeah. That was tough. The no Wi-Fi was tough.
So from there we worked our way up to Yosemite. We were going to go to the Sequoia National Park, but they were closed because of the weather. The roads were all closed because the snow was still melting. There's a lot of water. So we went up to Yosemite. Yosemite was open at the time. And we actually camped on one side of Yosemite for 4 days, I think, and then we went down to the other side of Yosemite, the southern part of Yosemite, by Wawona.
Wawona. Yep.
And stayed there for 4 days. So.
So the Yosemite is mostly known for their waterfalls. It was, again, it was just beautiful. And by the time we made it to the other side, the waterfalls, they were...
the main valley of the park, they closed it down because so much snow was melting that they had flooding.
Flooding, yeah. But we were on the other side by the time it flooded, so they weren't going to let us go back in, but we were already on the other side, so anybody on the side that we were on, they just let us stay. So, but that was the side that had the sequoias, which we were really grateful to go see because we missed them coming up. And the sequoias are the roundest trees that they are in the United States.
And we worked our way from Yosemite up to Redwood National Park.
And those are the tallest trees in the United States. I would say the redwoods is one of my favorites in that. When we were driving through them, we were so close. They were so close to the road, you could actually touch them as you drove by. It was great. And I loved Fern Canyon. It was great. It was another one of those walking through the water and ferns everywhere. And I mean, it just gave such an old, like prehistoric look.
From there, we planned on going up to Crater Lake in
Oregon.
Oregon, and then from there on up to Washington, Mount Rainier.
Yeah.
But both of them were closed because of the weather. The parks were closed.
Yeah.
So instead of that, we basically made a beeline back to Illinois, because that's where our family is, and that's actually where we're at right now.
Yep.
So we're visiting family. We did stop on the way back. Took a couple days, stopped in Boise, took a couple days, stopped in Idaho Falls, and took, I think, a week and stopped at Grand Teton and Yellowstone. Took a day, 2 days, 1 day to drive, 1 day to rest, 1 day to drive, 1 day to rest.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way we travel. And we just basically worked our way back to Illinois. And I will do a video on all the places that we stayed and how we worked our way back from California to Illinois.
So we did 11 national parks this year. The year of the national parks. It was wonderful. I think there's 63.
63 national parks,
Yeah.
if I'm correct.
Yep. And I loved them. I thought it was great. So we did a lot this year, and that we saw a lot. I was amazed.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Got to see a lot of places, meet a lot of people.
Yep.
It was definitely a year to remember.
Yeah, it really was. Anything you don't like about this year?
You?
Me?
Hmm?
You don't like me?
No. Is there anything you don't? Is there anything you don't like about this year?
The one thing is probably around Nevada. After Nevada, I really started having issues with my knee and that. So this coming year, I'm going to try to have that taken care of. But things were a little more difficult for me because of that. I didn't like getting the vehicles taken care of. That's been an issue. The things that happen on the road. It just seems like every time we stop, there's something we need to fix. I could do without that. I know we have to go through it, and things happen, but always having something break on the RV, I could do without that. But besides that, I think we had a wonderful year this year. So you want to tell them where we're at right now?
We're in Illinois.
No, where we're at.
She sold a car,
Yeah.
and we bought a Jeep. So for flat towing, we're done with this towing on a dolly. Because hooking that dolly up and everything, we got it down to a pretty good science. It only took us about 10 minutes to do it all, but we're kind of tired of it. We're with the Jeep, which you can flat tow, basically pull it up and hook it up, and you're on your way. We did break down and sold the car and bought a Jeep. And now we are it's one of the things we're doing here in Illinois, is getting everything set up
Yeah.
for the flat tow.
Yeah, we'll do a video on hooking that all up. So, do we have any plans for this coming year?
Basically, this year we're going to leave here, Illinois. We're going to head back to North Carolina because there's more family in North Carolina.
Got to visit everybody.
Yeah, and that's the biggest challenge about being on a road like this is especially when your family's all over the country.
Yeah.
Trying to get time to go visit them is tough, but we squeeze it in there.
We do.
But from there, we're going to work our way down to Florida, and we're going to get Cindy's knee worked on.
Yep.
Because she's having a lot of trouble with it.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back to Florida because Florida's our
Domicile.
do some medical things.
Yep. We'll see. And I'll kind of go through a little bit of that. I don't know if anybody wants to see any of that stuff, but basically that's some of the stuff that you have to do when you're on the road is things happen to, just like your vehicles break down, so does your body sometimes. So we're going to have that done, so I'll be able to get around a lot better then.
We'll be spending the winter down there in Florida, and from there we plan on working our way up the East Coast next year. So we want to go all the way up to Maine, so we'll see how that all goes. That's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still going.
Yep. Not going to stop anytime soon. I'm just so glad that we've done this, and it's been really nice to get to know all of you. It's really nice to see our channel grow a little bit. So if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. We really appreciate it. We really want to know who you guys are. If you guys had any comments, we love answering questions. So we'd really like to get to know you guys.
We'd appreciate if you travel with us. We're having a great experience, and we'd love to share it with you.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming along, and we'll see you on the road.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.